Hi everyone, how are you? I hope all of you are fine. And today I will be in this video, I will be talking about a question of ratio comparison. So I hope you all know what is ratio. So basically ratio is a comparison of two quantities of same kind. Right? Ratio is always a comparison of two quantities of same kind. That is very necessary. Okay. And now since in this video I will be talking about ratio comparison. So in the ratio comparison we always have multiple ratios. So multiple ratios, we can have two ratios or we can have more than two ratios also. Okay. So we need to compare the ratios and then we need to find the ratios of whatever they are asking the question. Right. So we have a question here and you can see here that in the question they have given A is to B is given as 2 is to 3. It means that the ratio of A and B is 2 is to 3, right? And the second ratio is B is to C, which is 4 is to 5. It means ratio of B and C is 4 is to 5. And similarly we have a third ratio, C is to D. It means the ratio of C and D is 6 is to 7. So we have three ratios and then we have to find A is to D. It means the ratio of A and D, right? So we have multiple ratios and then now we have to compare the ratios. So these three ratios we have to compare, right? So let's start. So first they have given A is to B is equal to 2 upon 3 and let me write all the three ratios. So B is to C is 4 upon 5 and C is to D is 6 upon 7. So these three ratios are given to you. Now you can notice one thing, that in the first ratio that the second quantity is similar to your first quantity of second ratio, right? The second quantity of first ratio is equal to first quantity of second ratio, and similarly your second quantity of second ratio is equal to your first quantity of third ratio. So this is very important thing. You need to find which quantity of which ratio is equal. Okay, then only we can compare the ratios. So now let us first talk about first and second ratio only, because we cannot compare all the three ratios at a one time. So when we compare first and second ratio, so see what you can do. You know that your 3b is equal to 4b. 3b in your first ratio and 4b in your second ratio. See, ultimately the value of b always remains same in both the ratios. But when you compare b with a, so b is equal to 3. But when you compare b with c, its b's value is 4. Okay, so ultimately b, whatever b will be, it is always same. So what we can do is, we can say that 3b is equal to 4b. Right? So 3b in the first ratio and 4b in the second ratio, both are equal. So you can find the common number in both the ratios, right? So 3b and 4b. So the common number is your 12. So the common number is 12. And now how can you get 12 in both the ratios in place of 12 in place of b? So you can multiply your first ratio by 4. So when you multiply it by 4, you will get 12 in place of b. And similarly, when you multiply second ratio by 3, so you will also get 12 in your second ratio in place of b. I'm sure this thing is clear to you, that since 3b in the first ratio and 4b in the second ratio are equal, always the value of b will be same in all the ratios, right? So the common number in both the ratios is 12. In 3b and 4b, the common number is 12. So how can you find 12 in both the ratios in place of b? By multiplying first ratio by 4 and second by 3. So we will get 12 in place of b. So let's do it. So when we multiply first ratio by 12, so what we will by 4. So what we will get? I am writing a dash upon b dash, right? Just to signify that it is different from the previous one. Ultimately the ratio is same, but the numbers are different. Okay. So how can you get this? By multiplying by 4. So 4 upon 4. So it is equals to 8 upon 12, right? And similarly, I can multiply the second ratio by 3. So b dash and c dash, see, just note one thing, that I am writing a dash or upon b dash, but the ratio is ultimately is equal to a upon b. Okay. So we need to multiply it by 3, right? So it is 12 upon 15. So now here you can see, if you just need to compare two ratios, A upon B and B upon C. So now you can see that your B value is same in both the ratios. So if you need to find the ratio A is to B is to C. So it is A is to 8 is to 12 is to 15. So this is basically your combining ratio. Okay, and now since we are talking about the common, now if you need to find the ratio between A and C only. Right now I'm not talking about the question where we have given three ratios. Right now I'm completely focused on two ratios, A upon B and B upon C. So in the first case, if you need to find the combined ratio of A is to B is to C. So we can say combined ratio of A, B, C. But if we need to find only A and C, the ratio of A and C, so what it will be? It will be 8 upon 15. It will be 8 upon 15 because we know that now the B is same. The value of B is same. So ultimately your base is same. One thing is same or common in both the ratios. So now you can compare the two other ratios or the ratio of other two quantities. So this you can say comparison of A is to C. So this is the difference between two things. If you need to find combined ratio, then you will just equate one quantity in both the ratios and then you can find the combined ratios. But if you need to compare two ratios and then you have to find A is to C. So similarly, since we know that B value is same in both the ratios, so your A is to C will be 8 is to 16. 8 upon 15. Clear? So this is the way to find the combined ratio or ratio comparison in case of two ratios. But since in our question we have given three ratios and we need to find A is to D, right? So we have found this thing, A upon B and B upon C. So now we'll write down the third ratio, which is C upon D, and it is equal to 6 upon 7. So now again we'll do the same process, since C is in the second denominator of the second ratio and C is in the numerator, or you can say the first quantity of third ratio. So we can equate it both the C's in both the ratios, right? So you know that in one ratio we have 15 value. Let me write it like this: 15 and 6C, right? So what is the common number? So basically the common number between the two is 30, right? So common number is 30. So how can you get 30? If you multiply it by 2 and if you multiply this by 5, you will get 30, right? So you need to multiply B upon C by 2 and C upon D by 5. So it will be multiplied and divided by 2 and it will be multiplied and divided by 5. So my next B double dash and C double dash, it will be 24 upon 30 and C double dash and D double dash, right? So it is equal to 30 upon 35. So again you can see here that your C ratio, the C quantity is same in both the ratios. So if you just need to find B is to D, then it is equal to 24 upon 35. Or if you need to find the combined ratio, which is B, C and D, that is equal to 24 is to 30 is to 35. So in this way you can find combined ratio or you can compare two ratios, right? But still our question is not completed because we need to find A is to D. So we know that, now you can just see here that still my A upon B is 8 upon 12. So now you can see here that your C is equal to C double dash is equal to in both the second and third ratio. But now accordingly, now my B ratio is different in first and second ratio. So again I have to repeat the same process. I need to keep my B in both first and second ratio same. Okay, so again we'll do the same process. So B dash, 12 B dash and 24 B double dash. So again the common number. See, ultimately the process will always remain same. The common number is 24, right? So 12 and 24, the common number is 24. And how will you get this? By multiplying the first ratio by 2 and second ratio by 1. Because ultimately in the second ratio we have only 1, right? So what we need to do, we need to multiply the first ratio by So I'll write it 2 multiplied and divided by 2, and the second ratio by 1 upon 1, right? So my next thing is, or you can say the revised part is, A double dash upon B double dash is 16 upon 24. Now my B double dash and C double dash, because we are multiplying with 1, so I'm writing B double dash and C double dash. And since it is equal to 24 upon 30, and we know that C double dash and D double dash, it is equal to 30 upon 35. Clear? Now you can see that this second quantity in the first ratio is equal to first quantity of second ratio, right? This is equal, and now again you can see that the second quantity in the second ratio is equal to first quantity in third ratio. So all these values are equal. So now we can note that A double dash is to B D double dash is equal to 16 upon 35. Is 16, you only have two values, one value for A and one value for D. Since your one value is common in the rest of the ratios, so we can say that A is to D is 16 is to 35. So we can now this is basically a comparison of ratios, comparison of three ratios. Is this clear? So let us come back to our question. So now you can see here we have an option C, which is equal to 16 upon 35. So this is the process basically to find the combined ratio as well as to compare the two ratios, right? You can always compare two ratios, and whenever you have multiple ratios, more than two ratios, then you have to do some steps. Like the way we have done in this case, first you will compare two ratios, and then you will compare the other two ratios, and then again you can compare all the three ratios simultaneously, right? So the way we have done here, we compared first and second ratio by equating the B value in both the ratios, and then we compare the second and third ratio by equating the value of C in both the ratios. And then since the value of B in first and second ratio is changed, so again we equated the B value in first and second ratio. Okay, so in that, after all this three process, we reach at this conclusion, where my B value in two ratios equal and C value in two ratios equal. So only thing left are A double dash and D double dash. So those are basically my comparison of ratios. Okay, and when you need to find the combined ratio, so combined ratio will be A double dash, B double dash, C double dash and D double dash. So it will be 16, and since my 24 is the value of B, so 24, then 30 and then 35. So this is basically my combined ratio, right? Clear? So in this video we have talked about comparison of ratios, ratio comparisons and combined ratios. Clear? So this kind of questions are very useful in our competitive exams, right? Where we have given some ratios and we need to compare ratios, or we need to find the combined ratios. Also we have given some kind of options also, because I am talking about the competitive exams, right? Competitive exams and also your CA Foundations exam, and in many other exams also we usually find this kind of ratio questions. If you find this video useful, and if you have any queries or comments or doubts, you can post it in the comment box. Definitely I will try to solve all your doubts as early as possible. And if you like the video, then I request you to subscribe the channel and also press the icon button. Thank you very much.